Black History Month in this assembly. Now, we'd like for y'all to stand up for the Negro National Anthem. Lift up your voice and play. Everybody sing.
So almost everybody you're going to see up here today took African American Studies last semester, and we're honored to bring you all this year's Black History Month Assembly. Black History Month was started in 1926 by a man named Carter G. Woodson, and it was actually only a week long. And it wasn't until 1976, 50 years later, that it became the month that we see it today. It falls in February, which is the shortest month of the year, but it's also the month that overlaps with Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln's birthdays, both of whom were pivotal in the abolition of slavery and emancipation. Today you're going to hear poems from individual students about their identities and how they feel that their cultures and backgrounds have shaped who they are. You're going to hear a monologue from the perspective of an 8-year-old girl who was present at the Selma, Alabama's Bloody Sunday. If you don't know what that is, in Selma, Alabama, during the height of the Civil Rights Movement in 1965, John Lewis intended to march with 600 people 54 miles to the state's capital to confront the governor about the racism that's been seen. In a neighboring town, they had a protest, and people were shot and killed and beaten. And on this march, with 600 people on the Edmund Pettus Bridge, they were met with state troopers who Governor George Wallace told, and I quote, to use whatever measures necessary to prevent a march. On this bridge, they were beaten with batons and guns in front of everybody outside of the church. Now, if the bridge sounds familiar, Edmund Pettus was a Confederate general. He was also the Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux Klan, so he was quite literally honored for his racism. Today we're not just going to be talking about super serious subjects, we're also going to play Kahoot with some gift cards as prizes. And we're going to close this out with a poem by Maya Angelou about womanhood. Now, before we begin, Black History Month is very important. Even though we don't have segregation anymore, we don't have slavery, everybody has the right to vote regardless of their skin color. But this assembly would not be allowed in the states of Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, Florida, Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, Nebraska, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, Ohio, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Ohio, Virginia, West Virginia, Wisconsin, and Georgia because of legislation that has been introduced, passed, or enacted. Any guesses how many states that is? It was 35. So 15 states do not have any legislation stopping racial discrimination from being taught in schools. That means that in public schools in this state, kids cannot learn about history that we get the privilege of being taught. So, without further ado, thank you all.
I am from absence, from growing up in a house of all women. I am from a mother whose shyness was her superpower, and from a wild one who was impulsive. I am from the caring one who put others first, to the animated one who showed how fun parts of life are, gaining aspects of all of them, creating who I am and what I've learned. I am from the ability to see through others' perspectives and stay in my mind and think, to spurts of not taking anything seriously at all. I am from putting myself off until the last minute and giving that time to others, to getting out of my head for periods of time and live in the moment. I am from a strong line of people who never accepted failure. I am from absence.
Most of us saw the Super Bowl on Sunday. We got to see Rihanna perform. She has a total of 9 Grammys, but did y'all know that the first woman to ever win a Grammy, the first black woman, is Ella Fitzgerald?
So can I put it up? Be careful.
She won it, I believe, in 1956, and she has a total of 14 Grammys. She was also an avid civil rights activist who used her talent to spread intolerance for racism across the country. She has many different awards, most notably, she got the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People Equal Justice Award and the American Black Achievement Award before she died in 1996.
I'm guessing we all know who Stevie Wonder is, but if you don't, he's one of the most talented musicians we've ever seen. He was born blind at infantry. By the age of 9, he was able to master the piano, drums, the bass, and harmonica. When he was 11, he was signed to Motown Records, where he released his first album by the age of 12, called Tribute to Uncle Ray. And his 50-year career is an impressive one, by the way. He won 22 Grammys and 18 American Music Awards. In 1989, he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He was an amazing musician, but he was also very involved in trying to make a change in the world, and that's something he did. He participated in a lot of different social events, and it all started when he was 15, when he was on tour in Chicago, where he met Martin Luther King Jr. When he was assassinated, 12 years after he was assassinated, Stevie Wonder released a song called Happy Birthday, which was meant to Martin Luther King Jr. He made his voice clear in his support for making MLK Day a thing as well. Then he wouldn't stop until Ronald Reagan were to sign off on it. He played a huge part in other major events throughout his life, through his music as well. Most of his songs had a lot deeper meaning than people understood off of hearing that from first glance. They all talk about social things and racism throughout the world, also for women's rights and everything like that. Stevie Wonder wrote a song for the movie Woman in Red, which won an Academy Award. He also dedicated this award to Nelson Mandela, who was in prison at the time. His dedication to Mandela on the award led to the banning of music in all of South Africa. Stevie has donated and acted on a whole bunch of cases, including AIDS, anti-apartheid, and the children with disabilities, and even donated all of his earnings for the song Shelter in the Rain to people who were affected by Hurricane Katrina. I'm going to end off with a quote by him. He said, "What I'm not confused about is the world needing much more love. No hate, no prejudice, no bigotry, and more unity, peace, and understanding."
African American is what you see on the surface, but that does not define me. I am from Philadelphia in Canada, Connecticut in France. If these regions do not define me, then what does? I am from fair skin and 4C hair, deep brown eyes and flushed cheeks, my scars, my bruises, my cuts and scrapes. If my physicality does not define me, then what does? I am from the concrete streets and paved sidewalks, the cul-de-sacs and roundabouts, highways and busy packed streets. I'm from an old brick house in northern Georgia, with moss and a trampoline, and a shed and 2 dogs in a garden. If my location does not define me, then what does? I am from my people, loud, captivating religious people. I am from Never Give Up and You Only Live Once. My emotions and actions, my corrections and mistakes, my strengths and weaknesses. The length of my arms, the teeth in my mouth, the hair on my head, the skin on my hands. While these do not define me, the sum of these as parts, as a whole, creates what I am. I am me. I am proud. I am human.
In the beginning, I wasn't too scared. I stepped out to the side for a second and I saw them. They were in a line. They looked like a blue picket fence stretched across the highway. Further down were some of Sheriff Jim Clark's posse men on their horses. Traffic had been blocked. I began to get a little uneasy about things. I think everyone did. People quit talking. It was so quiet then that all you could hear was our footsteps on the concrete sidewalks and the wind blowing. Well, we kept moving down the bridge. The troopers could be seen more clearly now. I guess I was 50 to 70 yards from them. They had blue helmets, blue jackets, and they were holding these clubs. They were holding these clubs in their hands, and they had these gas masks propped over their shoulders. The first part of the line reached them, and all came to a stop. For a few seconds, we just kept standing. Then I heard this voice spreading over the bullhorn, saying that this was an unlawful assembly and for us to disperse and go back to church. Then I stepped sideways, and I got a closer look. I saw the troopers putting on their gas masks. That scared me. I had never faced the troopers before, and no one had ever had to put on gas masks at their own marches. But this one was different. We were out of city limits and on a highway. Hosea Williams said something to the troopers, asking if we could pray. Then I heard the voice come over the bullhorn once again to tell us that we had 2 minutes to disperse. Next thing I know, it didn't even seem like 2 minutes had gone by, and the voice was saying, "Troopers, advance and see that they're dispersed." Just all of a sudden, it was beginning to happen. All I know is I heard all this screaming, and people were turning. I saw this first part of the line running and stumbling back toward us. At that point, I was just on the end of the bridge, on the side of the highway. And they came running, and some of them were crying out, and somebody yelled, "Oh my God, they're killing us! Oh my God, they're killing us!" I remember looking towards the troopers, and they were backing up. But some of them were standing over some of our people. They had been knocked down or had fallen, and I heard a shout, "Gas, gas!" and everyone started screaming again. I saw the troopers charging us, and some of them were swinging their arms and throwing canisters of gas. And beyond them, just beyond them, I saw the horsemen starting their charge towards us. I tell you, I forgot about praying, and I just ran. And just as I was turning, the tear gas got me. It burned my nose first, then my eyes. I was blinded by the tears. So, I began running, not knowing where I was going. I remember being so scared that I was going to fall into the water. I can't swim! I don't know if I was screaming or not, but everyone else was. People were running and falling and ducking, and you could hear people scream, and you could hear the whips swishing, and you hear them striking the people. It seemed to take forever to get across that bridge. It seemed like I was running uphill, I just then knew that I was going to die. That those horses were going to trample me. So, I just kept running. I ran, and I ran, and I ran. I didn't know where I was going, and I just kept running. All of a sudden, someone was grabbing me under the arms and lifting me up and running, and I was waiting to get trampled on or hit or whatever. But I looked up, and it was Hosea Williams. He had me, and he was running. He held on to me over the bridge and all the way down Broad Street, and then he let me go. I didn't stop running until I got home. Thank you.
I am from where the snow crunches and the leaves crinkle, where flowers always seem to be in bloom. I'm from the land where the wind whispers from the lake and the sky is always bright blue. I'm from the land of imagination. I'm from my house. I'm from my home. I'm from the winters of Romania and Poland, where my people fled for their lives. I'm from the freedoms of America. I'm from the land of imagination. I'm from my house. I'm from my home.
Show of hands, who saw Black Panther? It was a good movie, right? So we all saw Angela Bassett in it, and she was nominated for an Oscar for performance. Angela Bassett actually graduated from Yale with a degree in African American Studies. She actually has 3 degrees, including an honorary PhD from Yale and a degree from Morehouse. But what a lot of people don't seem to know is that Hattie McDaniel was the first Black woman to ever win an Oscar. She won in 1940 for her performance in Gone with the Wind as the Mammy, which was a very, very racist role if you've ever seen the movie. She was not allowed to go to the premiere of her movie because it was a whites-only event, and when she was at the Oscars, where she won the award for Best Supporting Actress, she had to sit across the segregated room away from her castmates. She passed away 12 years after she won in 1952 and was denied her final wish to be buried in the Hollywood Cemetery because it too was whites only.
So I'm going to be speaking about someone who most of you guys know, Denzel Washington. And before getting into his career, I'm going to first go into a little background. So, Denzel Washington was born on December 28, 1954, in Mount Vernon, New York. Washington graduated from Fordham University, and throughout his time attending the university, he studied theatrical production. After a period of indecision on which major to study and taking a semester off, Washington began to work as a creative arts director. Returning to Fordham that fall, Washington began to work Returned to Fordham that fall with a renewed purpose. Washington enrolled at the Lincoln Center campus to study acting. He then attended graduate school at the American Conservatory Theater in San Francisco, California, where he stayed for 1 year before returning to New York to begin a professional acting career. Throughout his professional career, Washington was regularly praised by critics, and his consistent success at the box office helped to dispel the perception that African American actors could not draw mainstream white audiences. I could stand up here and list every movie Washington has starred in, but I'd rather talk about what one movie represents to me. Of course, I cannot ignore Washington's artistry portrayed in movies such as Fences and The Great Debaters, but Glory, about the 54th Massachusetts Infantry Regiment, one of the Union Army's first African American regiments during the American Civil War. Glory was the first major motion picture to tell the story of black U.S. soldiers fighting for their freedom from slavery during the Civil War. American Civil War historian James M. McPherson stated, accomplished a remarkable feat in sensitizing a lot of today's black students to the role that their ancestors played in the Civil War in winning their own freedom. Robert Ebert went on to write, why did we see the black troops through the white commanding officer's eyes, instead of seeing him through theirs? To put it another way, why does the top billing in this movie go to a white actor? It's about changing the narrative, changing the perspective, changing the one-way lens into a two-way frame. Washington did go on to win an Academy Award, a Golden Globe Award, a Critics' Circle Award, and an NAACP Image Award for his role as Outstanding Supporting Character, Private Silas Tripp. He single-handedly broke the demarcation line between being a successful African-American theatrical genius in a world where productions are primarily seen by mainly white audiences. It was rarely heard of at this time for an upcoming African-American college graduate to simply step into the spotlight and capture the hearts of an unpigmented array of seats. If not for Denzel Washington's historical impact on the African-American community, we would not see some of the biggest names in African-American production on the big screen. Michael B. Jordan, Chadwick Boseman, Mahershala Ali, all were heavily influenced by Washington's imprint on newly defined entertainment. All have gone on to praise Washington repeatedly throughout their individual careers, especially after Washington received the Lifetime Achievement Award for not just his truly amazing acting career, but his reconfigured conception of the concept of classic movie stardom. Denzel Washington is Black history. Denzel Washington is Black excellence. Thank you.
Samuel L. Jackson is a highly acclaimed American actor who's been in the entertainment industry for almost 5 decades. Jackson began his acting career in the early 1970s and has since become one of the most recognizable faces in the film industry. He has appeared in over 150 films, many of which have become major box office successes. One of Jackson's most notable early roles was in the Spike Lee film Jungle Fever from 1991, which brought him attention to wider audiences. However, it was his role as Jules Winfield in the 1994 film Pulp Fiction that launched Jackson into the stratosphere. The film was a commercial success, and Jackson's performance was widely praised. He received an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor for his work on the film. Jackson's impact in the African American community is notable as well. He's been a strong advocate for diversity in Hollywood and has used his platform to raise awareness of social and political issues. Samuel L. Jackson has become one of those recognizable names in the entertainment industry and has left a lasting impact on his audience.
Morgan Freeman is an actor, film director, and narrator. Widely regarded as one of the greatest of his generation, Freeman began his career in the 1960s and has since become one of the most recognizable voices in the film industry. In 2004, Freeman won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for his role in $1 Million Baby. He has since become one of the most sought-after actors, appearing in numerous successful films and earning critical acclaim. Throughout his career, Freeman has taken on a wide range of roles, playing characters of different ethnicities and challenging the Hollywood stereotype of African-American actors being limited to certain types of roles. He has been a trailblazer for new generations of actors, breaking down barriers and showing that African-American actors can lead mainstream Hollywood films and have successful careers. Morgan Freeman is a true icon of the entertainment industry and has left an impact on African-American actors. He will always be remembered as a pioneering figure who helped change the face of Hollywood forever.
Where are you from? A question that everyone has been asked, with or without essence. Most don't think too deeply into this question. Why don't you? You brush this off lightly because you know the answer they'd expect. But what if I want to say something different? Where I'm from doesn't always necessarily have to mean the same thing. I'm from America, I'm from England, I'm from China. All places that have given me valuable experiences. But that's not what I want to talk about. I'm from everywhere. I'm from the encounters and interactions I've had, I'm from the lessons I've learned, as well as the ones I've taught. I'm from the friendships that have shaped my view of myself and shown me nothing but unconditional love. I'm from a family that supports me limitlessly along every step of the way. I'm from my mistakes and failures, for no one could achieve success without that. I'm from a community that strives to uplift and brighten, not dull. I savor the warmth of each of these memories as I take them along with me in the back of my mind, day by day.
Henry Aaron was an influential African American born on February 5th, 1935. Born to a family of 8 in an impoverished area in Mobile, Alabama. He did not have the best upbringing, as he grew up in a time of deep racism. From an early age, Henry took up a knack for baseball. He would make makeshift bats from anything in his house, and would do all of this from his own home. One of the people that inspired him was Jackie Robinson, after hearing one of his speeches. That's when he knew that he wanted to play in the major leagues. He attended Josephine Allen High School and played in the semi-pros for the Bears at the time, and after that, he went straight on to his pro career. He racked up a great deal of accolades through his career. He was a World Series champion in 1957, National League MVP in 1957, 25-time MLB All-Star from 1955 and 1975, and 3-time Gold Glove Award winner from 1958 to 1960. He was also inducted into the MLB All-Century team, and he currently holds the record for 2,297 RBI. Throughout Aaron's career, he received tons of racism, and he was known for how he was able to deal with this. He was a part of the NAACP and many other civil rights organizations. He was later awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom from George W. Bush. And he will not only be known for his incredible baseball talent, but also his impact in the civil rights movement. Thank you.
Born on April 16, 1947, Ferdinand Lewis Halsendorf was born. He was a 7'2" high prospect that played basketball. He was renowned for his high intense scoring and defensive capacity. At the age of 13, Lou Ferdinand was exposed to lots of black activism. As a 13 in 1963, he participated in the March on Washington Job for Freedom. After he made it to the NBA, he was insane. After winning 6 NBA championships, 6 NBA all-time MVPs, 2-time NBA Finals MVPs, 19 All-Star appearances, and reaching the 35th and 50th anniversary all-time teams. I could sit up here and talk about his NBA prowess for 50 minutes, but let's not talk about that. He was an insane activist that was heavily influenced by MLK and Malcolm X. His devotion to Islam encouraged him to change his name to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He was even invited to be a leader of the Nation of Islam. He was present for Muhammad Ali's denial of Vietnam and Bill Russell's inauguration. He also refused to play in the Olympics in 1968 after MLK's death and Baldwin refused to win the black community. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, ladies and gentlemen, someone who stood tall on and off the court.
So I'm sure most of you have heard of Colin Kaepernick and his actions as a football player, but I wanted to get into the specifics of what he did for the black community. August 26, 2016 was the first game that Kaepernick refused to stand in. He did this to protest police brutality and racial injustice in recent actions. Kaepernick said, and I quote, "He cannot stand to show pride to a flag of a country that oppressed black people." This was in protest to the shooting of Mario Woods on December 2nd, 2015. Woods was said to have matched the description of a recent knife attacker, and when he did not comply to being arrested, he was shot over 20 times by 5 different police officers. The timeline of the officers meeting Woods and his death was only 72 seconds. 72 seconds was the cost of a life. Kaepernick started his protest sitting at first during the national anthem. And after talking with Nate Boyer, who was a former football player and Army veteran, he said kneeling would have been less offensive. This inspired people all across different types of sports and countries. Kaepernick last played for the 49ers in 2017, and he's been unable to find or land a job for any NFL team since to this day. If you look up his name on Google, it no longer says former quarterback. It says civil rights activist. Thank you.
Because of the level I have been asked from a young age, what? I could simply answer this question, or I could flip it into a better question. Where am I from? I'm from my Nana's concrete streets of Brooklyn. I'm from her proud afro and her Nina Simone finals. I'm from the day she met a young man with jet black hair and freckles from an island sun. I'm from my abuelo's beaches of Puerto Rico, from his memories of playing soccer with his brothers after school. I'm from the warmth of the food my great-grandmother cooked for him. I'm from the songs of his childhood that he plays for me. I'm from my dad and his life as a blend of skyscrapers and trees. I'm also from my mom and her parents' experiences of being black in the South. I'm from hot summers and homemade lemonade. I'm from the farm my grandma grew up on. I'm from the hard work of my grandfather. I'm from their support that led my mom to be the first female college graduate in their family. I'm from all these places. They all matter to me and make me the person I am. But most importantly, I'm from a diverse, beautiful family that taught me to love my cultures and recognize them as the virtue that they are. I'm from pride and farms and skyscrapers and palm trees. That is more than just what I am, that's where I'm from.
Alright, so what we're going to be doing now is a Kahoot, and I want you guys to get out your phones. There'll be a code that you guys can use. And whoever wins the Kahoot, the first place winner will get a $25 gift card, and the second and third place winner will get a Chick-fil-A gift card. So, better get the questions right.
There you go. 20 You do?
First question. These was a great West African empire.
Okay, the second question is, which university was the first to make Black Studies a PhD course?
souls of black folk.
Fourth question reads, what year was Black Studies made a PhD course in college?
What year was Black History Month first created?
What empire/kingdom did Massachusetts belong to?
Which one of these was a famous black astronomer?
Okay, if you're part of the top 3 teams, you get the prizes.
Thank you guys for playing with me.
Phenomenal Woman by Maya Angelou. Pretty women wonder where my secret lies. I'm not cute or built to suit a fashion model size. But when they start to tell me, they think I'm telling lies. I say, is it in the reach of my arms, the span of my hips, the stride of my step, the curl of my lip? I am a woman phenomenally.
Phenomenal woman, that's me.
I walk into a room just as cool as you please, and to a man the fellows stand or fall to their knees. Then they swarm around me, a hive of honeybees. I say, it's in the flash of my eyes, the fire in my teeth, the swing in my waist, and the joy in my feet. I'm a woman phenomenally.
Phenomenal woman, that's me.
Men themselves have wondered what they see in me. They try so much, but they can't touch my inner mystery. When I try to show them, they say they still can't see. I say it's in the arch of my back, the sun of my smile, the ride of my breast, and the grace of my style. I'm a woman phenomenally. Phenomenal woman, that's me.
Now you know just so my head's not bowed. I don't have to shout or jump about or talk real loud. When you see me passing by, you ought to be proud. I say, it's in the click of my heels, the bend of my hair, the palm of my hands, the need of my care. Because I am a woman. Phenomenally. Phenomenal woman, that's me.
Thank you for joining us for our Black History Month Assembly.